If you give me a son before I die, I will grant you $500,000. Chica's heart hammered against her ribs as she gazed at the ailing Korean man in the hospital bed, the thumping so loud she feared he could perceive it. This was preposterous, utterly beyond reason. Yet her mother was also facing mortality. Desperation compels one to contemplate possibilities previously unimaginable. However, there's an unspoken cost associated with such desperate gambles. It's a price rendered in blood. 3 weeks prior, Chica Williams was stationed behind the counter of a Baltimore gas station at 2:00 a.m., observing patrons drifting in and out, when her phone vibrated. It was her mother's nurse. "Chica, your mom collapsed again. The dialysis is no longer effective. She requires a kidney transplant, and without it..." The nurse omitted the grim conclusion. It was unnecessary. Chica grasped the stark financial reality. $400,000 for the surgery, a cost beyond her meager insurance coverage. With a mere $2,200 in her bank account and 3 low-wage jobs, the numbers simply did not add up. That very night, an envelope appeared under her door. No sender, no return address, just a check for $50,000 and a cryptic note. "Come to 147 Westridge Estate, McLean, Virginia, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Bring this check. Your mother's life hinges upon it." But this is where the narrative takes a peculiar turn. Chica should have contacted law enforcement. She should have discarded the check. Instead, she cashed it the subsequent morning, settled her mother's outstanding medical bills, and boarded a bus bound for Virginia. Why? Because when one is in dire straits, the source of aid is less important than the escape itself. One clings to any lifeline, regardless of potential peril. The estate presented as if from a cinematic thriller. 12-foot iron gates, armed security personnel in dark suits, surveillance cameras at every juncture. McLean, Virginia, was a haven for the affluent and the illicit, where fortunes were concealed behind meticulously kept grounds. A Korean woman in her 60s, exuding an air of composed elegance, opened the door. Quote, ow, she stated in flawless English. Quote, "One." Chica retorted. The woman's gaze sharpened. In our culture, early implies punctual. Punctual signifies late. She escorted Chica through opulent marble corridors, adorned with priceless art. Asian paintings valued more than city blocks. Sculptures fit for national museums. All testaments to immense wealth and influence. They paused before a bedroom door. "He awaits you," the woman announced before departing without further comment. Chica knocked. "Enter." A frail voice beckoned. Yet, nothing could have adequately prepared her for the scene within. The man in the bed appeared to be on the precipice of death. His skin, a pallid gray, was stretched taut over his skeletal frame. His eyes, deeply sunken, held the weight of profound experience. Tubes connected his arms to a symphony of machines, their rhythmic beeping marking the dwindling moments of his life. But upon seeing Chica, a spark ignited in his fading eyes, a flicker of recognition, of relief, of hope. "You came," he whispered. "Who are you?" Chica remained near the entrance, poised for flight. "Why did you send me that money?" "My name is Park Jin-woo. I manage certain operations on the East Coast, and I sent you that check because I require your assistance." "Assistance with what?" "Remaining alive long enough to see my son." Chica's stomach churned. Quote 6. Quote 7. Jin-woo implored. Quote 8. Defying every instinct screaming for her to flee, Chica sat. Quote 9. Jin-woo continued. Quote 10. Chica's blood ran cold. "How? I employ capable individuals. They acquire information." Jin-woo coughed, his entire body trembling. "I selected you for 3 primary reasons. You are desperate, you are intelligent, and you possess a compassionate nature." "Selected me for what?" Jin-woo's gaze fixed upon hers. Quote 4. The room seemed to spin. Chica's purse slipped from her grasp. "You are delusional," she stammered. "I am dying," Jin-woo corrected. "Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The physicians estimated 3 months. That was 10 weeks ago. Then adopt. Engage a surrogate. You clearly possess considerable financial resources." "I am out of time," Jin-woo's voice cracked. Surrogacy necessitates months for contracts, legal proceedings, and background checks. I have weeks, Chica, perhaps days, and I require a son. Why? This is where the true account commences. Jinwoo had meticulously constructed his empire from its innocent origins. He arrived in America in 1994 with a mere $200 and an unyielding resolve to undertake whatever was necessary. His journey began in Los Angeles, where he worked as a dishwasher in Koreatown eateries. However, Jinwoo was not predisposed to modest aspirations. He observed, he listened, he learned. By the age of 25, he commanded underground gambling enterprises spanning from Boston to Miami, orchestrating poker games in restaurant back rooms and high-stakes tournaments in penthouse suites, while simultaneously laundering funds through legitimate enterprises. By 30, he had amassed sufficient capital to acquire hotels, restaurants, and real estate across 5 states: New York, Virginia, Florida, California, and Texas. His net worth reached $800 million, yet this wealth held little significance. His wife Seoan had borne him 3 daughters: Misan, aged 28, MG, aged 26, and Haiwan, aged 23. Beautiful, educated, ruthless, Jinwoo remarked bitterly. They are vultures, all of them, including my wife. They are counting the days until my demise so they can divide my fortune. Then leave it to charity, Chica proposed. I established this empire for my lineage, for my name. Within Korean culture, a man without a son is... Jinwoo closed his eyes briefly. Incomplete. My father passed away, disappointed in me. I do not wish to meet the same fate. Love, Chica stood. I sympathize with your predicament, but I cannot. $500,000, she faltered. Upon the child's birth, Jinwoo continued, his voice regaining some strength. I was a daus, quote. 8. Chica's hand rested on the doorknob, yet she found herself unable to turn it. I understand the extraordinary nature of my request, Jinwoo whispered. However, I am offering you a miraculous solution, the very miracle you have beseeched divine intervention for. But this was the aspect that filled her with the most dread. Your wife, Chica stated softly. If she discovers this, she will eliminate you. Jinwoo completed her sentence. I am aware. That is precisely why you will depart the country the moment you ascertain your pregnancy. I will arrange your passage to South Korea. My cousin oversees a private medical facility in Seoul, equipped with the finest physicians and unparalleled care. You will be secure until the infant's arrival. And if it is a daughter? Jinwoo's expression darkened. Quote 6. Chica's mind raced. This was preposterous, perilous, and potentially illegal. Yet, her mother's face materialized in her thoughts. The life support machines, the escalating bills, the funeral arrangements she could ill afford. I require time to deliberate, she whispered. You have until tonight, Jinwoo decreed. Only tonight. My strength wanes with each passing day, and my family's suspicions are already aroused. Quote, Baby, you sound weary. Quote, 1. What troubles you? Quote, 2. Nothing, Mama, just tired. You work too hard. Providence will intervene. You shall see. Quote, 3. I will accept. Quote, 4. But I have stipulations. Quote, 5. State them. Quote, 6. Relocate my mother to a private facility, one beyond your wife's reach, and ensure her transplant is funded, irrespective of my return. Jinwoo nodded. Agreed. And should any harm befall me, should your family... I possess loyal operatives, Jinwoo interjected. Former military intelligence specialists. They will safeguard you with their lives. I give you my word. Chica inhaled deeply. Very well. Thank you, Jinwoo whispered. And for the first time since their encounter, she observed tears welling in his eyes. However, neither fully comprehended that the walls possessed ears. Allow me to elaborate on the women of the Park family. Understanding them is crucial to comprehending why Chica's existence was about to transform into an unbearable ordeal. Seo Yan Park, 58 years of age, possessed an icy demeanor. She married Jinwoo 30 years prior in an arranged union in Seoul. Her affections for him never materialized beyond the initial 5 years. It was his wealth she truly desired. For 3 decades, she meticulously maintained the facade of the devoted wife, hosting extravagant dinner parties, attending charity galas, and posing for photographs, all while eagerly anticipating the day she could abscond with his fortune to a luxurious penthouse in Monaco. Her daughters emulated their mother's cunning. Misan, the eldest, practiced corporate law in Manhattan, sharp, cold, and calculating. She had been absconding with funds from her father's enterprises for 2 years, concealing these assets in offshore accounts. Jin-woo was aware of her actions but refrained from intervention, considering her his daughter. However, this leniency was nearing its end. Mi, the middle child, was romantically involved with David Park, no familial relation. David operated investment fraud schemes in New York, promising immigrant families substantial returns before absconding with their life savings. Mai facilitated his money laundering activities through her father's legitimate businesses. She had pledged $50 million to David upon Jin-woo's passing. Their passage to Singapore was booked, a penthouse secured, and new identities were prepared. And Juan, the youngest, was the least intelligent but paradoxically the most avaricious. She harbored a desire to dismantle her father's $400 million real estate empire and establish a high-end skincare line. Quote, Warstos. She proclaimed to anyone who would listen. Quote, while her vision was improbable, she was prepared to squander millions in pursuit of it. Not a single one harbored genuine affection for him. Each was simply awaiting his demise. But here is what Chica remained oblivious to. Seo Yan had been engaged in covert surveillance throughout. Seo Yan had been married to Jin-woo for 3 decades. She possessed an innate ability to detect when he was concealing something. Recently, his late-night phone calls, coupled with clandestine money transfers and the dispatch of his most trusted associates on secret missions, signaled that something significant was afoot. To uncover the truth, she enlisted the aid of her elder daughter, Misan. Misan, a sharp and astute lawyer, was tasked with planting a listening device in Jin-woo's bedroom. Confident in her ability to gather evidence discreetly, she ingeniously concealed a voice recorder within a decorative vase on Jin-woo's nightstand. 3 days later, upon retrieving it, Misan's reaction was one of sheer outrage. Jin-woo's voice confirmed the girl's pregnancy, 8 weeks along, and his intention to send her to Seoul the following month. His lawyer's voice then outlined Jin-woo's will. 80% of his estate would be placed in a trust for his son, with full inheritance upon reaching 18, encompassing all companies and properties. When questioned about his wife, Jin-woo responded with a bitter laugh, stating she would receive a comfortable monthly allowance, far less than she anticipated, designed to make her taste what betrayal feels like. Misan's hands trembled as she absorbed this information, immediately rushing to her mother, while Seo Yan maintained an outward appearance of calm as Misan played the recording. Internal turmoil raged. This moment was the culmination of a 30-year wait, 30 years of feigning affection for a man she loathed, 30 years of raising his daughters, managing his affairs, and enduring his infidelities. The prospect of a heirs, quote, was one, jeopardizing everything, ignited her fury. Quote 2. Seo Yan commanded with chilling quietness. Quote, Misan inquired about the specific actions required, to which Seo Yan's eyes turned glacial. Quote, however, human psychology revealed its uglier side. MJE harbored her own motivations for wanting Chica eliminated. Her relationship with David had become increasingly strained, with him persistently pressuring her. Quote 5. David would inquire over the phone. Quote, MGE had promised David $50 million and could not allow an unknown entity to disrupt her plans. Furthermore, Juan was actively engaged in launching her skincare line, having invested $200,000 of her personal funds in prototypes and influencer campaigns. Her inheritance was crucial for her financial stability. The sequence of events unfolded with alarming speed. Jin-woo's private physicians arrived, meticulously explaining the process, medications, procedures, and timing. Chica signed documents she barely comprehended, feeling as though she were trapped in a nightmarish dream. A week later, the procedure was completed in a private medical suite within the mansion, executed with clinical detachment. That night, Chica departed feeling soiled, fearful, and ashamed. Returning to her modest Baltimore apartment, she scrubbed her skin until it ached, sobbing in the shower until the water turned cold. However, 2 weeks later, a positive pregnancy test confirmed her condition. Jin Woo called her immediately, his voice weak yet filled with elation. "Are you sure?" Chica whispered, confirming the doctor's validation. Quote, 1. Jin Woo expressed, his voice breaking with emotion. Quote 2. When Chica inquired about the next steps, Jin Woo explained, quote, Jin Woo paused for a considerable moment when asked about the outcome if it were a girl. Quote 4. Chica's stomach churned at the prospect. "I can't do this more than once," Jin Woo implored, "then pray with me that it's a boy." Meanwhile, Seo Yan was not relying on prayer. On a Tuesday night, Chica's apartment was broken into. Returning from her gas station shift at midnight, she discovered her door ajar, her heart sinking. An intruder had been inside, but remarkably nothing of value was taken, not the television, the laptop, nor the $500 in cash hidden in a shoebox. Instead, her passport, birth certificate, and social security card, all essential documents for international travel, were gone. With trembling hands, Chica dialed Jin Woo, whispering, "They know, your wife knows." Jin Woo remained silent for a moment, the background hum of machines audible. "I expected this," he finally said. "Don't worry, I have a backup plan." Chica sought clarification on this backup plan. "You leave tonight, not from an airport. My people will drive you to Canada. From there, you fly to Seoul. No records, no trail." Chica expressed her reluctance to leave immediately. Jin Woo gently interrupted, revealing, "Your mother is already gone. I had her moved this morning. Private facility in Pittsburgh under a fake name. Seo Yan will never find her." Chica's knees weakened as she absorbed this news. Jin Woo assured her, "I told you I'd protect her. I meant it. Now pack a bag. One bag. Nothing that identifies you. Marcus will be at your apartment in 20 minutes. When Chica inquired about Marcus, Jin Woo replied, "Someone who's kept me alive this long. Trust him." Seo Yan, however, was not deterred. She had engaged the services of 2 former military contractors, Chen and Rodriguez, veterans of black operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, known for their unquestioning execution of tasks. Their objective was straightforward: locate Chica Williams and make her disappear. On the night Chica was scheduled to depart, 2 black SUVs began tailing her vehicle from her apartment. Initially, Chica remained unaware, preoccupied with ensuring she had packed everything. Marcus, however, noticed. Marcus Johnson, an ex-Navy SEAL with 15 years of service protecting Jin Woo, having sustained 3 bullet wounds and eliminated 4 individuals who attempted to harm his employer, was not about to allow hired operatives to threaten his boss's final hope. Quote, Marcus calmly stated, adjusting the rearview mirror. Chica's heart leaped into her throat. "What do we do?" Marcus's response was decisive as he floored the accelerator. The SUVs pursued, engaging in a high-speed chase through Baltimore's streets, reaching speeds of 90 mile/s, weaving through traffic, disregarding traffic signals, their tires screeching on the wet asphalt. Chica gripped the door handles, her knuckles white. "They're going to kill us," she whispered. "Not today," Marcus muttered, executing a sharp right into an alley. The SUVs followed. Marcus navigated through a parking garage, emerged near the inner harbor, and accelerated onto I-95, the SUVs maintaining close pursuit. One pulled alongside, its passenger window rolling down to reveal a man with a gun. Marcus swerved violently, colliding with the SUV and causing it to spin out and crash into a concrete barrier. The second SUV continued its pursuit. Marcus reached under his seat, retrieved a Glock, and fired 5 shots through his rear window without looking. The SUV's windshield shattered, causing it to swerve erratically and collide with a parked truck. In the back seat, Chica covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "It's over," Marcus declared, holstering his weapon. "You're safe." By the time they reached the Canadian border at 4:00 a.m., Chica was visibly trembling, yet she had succeeded. She crossed into Toronto, boarded a private aircraft, and embarked on a journey across the globe to Seoul. The medical facility in Seoul resembled a 5-star hotel, boasting private rooms with balconies overlooking the city and gourmet meals prepared by accomplished chefs. Dr. Park Soon-ho, Jin-woo's cousin and the facility's director, a kind-faced and professional 55-year-old, treated Chica with the warmth of family. "You're safe here," Dr. Park assured her on her initial day. "Nobody knows you're in Korea except me, Jin-woo, and Marcus." For the first time in weeks, Chica experienced a sense of relief. She occupied a private suite on the 4th floor, featuring floor-to-ceiling windows and a bathroom larger than her entire Baltimore apartment. Nurses attended to her thrice daily with genuine smiles. The pregnancy progressed normally, without complications. She engaged in daily video calls with her mother, who inquired about her surroundings and the cost, to which Chica responded, "Don't worry about it, Mama. Just focus on getting better." Her mother had undergone a successful kidney transplant 2 weeks after arriving in Pittsburgh and was recovering well. Back in Virginia, Jin-woo's condition deteriorated more rapidly than anticipated. The cancer had metastasized to his liver, lungs, and brain. Doctors estimated he had mere days, perhaps hours left. He was unable to walk and struggled to speak as his body progressively failed. Seo-yeon observed this decline with cold satisfaction. She organized a charity gala to ostensibly raise funds for cancer research, a gesture met with considerable irony. The event drew prominent business partners, politicians, and influential figures from Washington, D.C. and New York. Seo-yeon adopted the persona of a grieving wife, dabbing her eyes with expensive handkerchiefs, while simultaneously engaging in laughter with guests. It was widely understood to be a clandestine celebration of her husband's impending demise, with her already selecting funeral attire. Concurrently, MG contacted an individual in Seoul, Kwon Jung, who owed the Park family a favor and operated a private investigation firm specializing in corporate espionage, blackmail, and permanent problem resolution. Quote, 1. Minji stated over the phone. Quote 2. Kwon inquired about the desired outcome upon locating her. Quote 3. Kwon, without asking further questions, named his price, $100,000 USD, with half up front and the remainder upon completion. Minji promptly wired the funds. However, in the criminal underworld, loyalty is often contingent upon financial transactions. Kwon had a history with Jin-woo, dating back 20 years to Jin-woo's expansion into Asia. Jin-woo had once saved Kwon's life in Busan from a rival gang, taking bullets intended for him and later funding his mother's cancer treatment. Consequently, upon receiving Minji's request, Kwon deviated from her directive and contacted Jin-woo. Quote 4. Kwon disclosed in Korean, detailing the situation with the pregnant American. Jin-woo's heart sank, and he struggled to breathe as he managed to ask, "Did you take the job?" Kwon replied, "I told her I did, but I'm calling to ask what you want me to do." Jin-woo, with a whispered plea, conveyed, "Protect her, with your life if necessary. She's carrying my son." A prolonged silence followed. "I comprehend," Won stated finally. "Consider it accomplished." Back in Seoul, Chica remained oblivious to the fact that she was being pursued. Her days were occupied with resting, reading, taking her prenatal vitamins, and engaging in video calls with her mother and Marcus, who had returned to Virginia to keep watch over Jin-woo. Dr. Park arranged for regular ultrasounds. Around the 12-week mark, the baby's sex could be determined. Chica fervently wished for a boy every night. This desire wasn't driven by concerns for Jin-woo's lineage or his family's customs, but because a girl would render her ordeal entirely pointless, meaning she had endured this nightmare for no reason. On the morning of her 12-week ultrasound, her nervousness was so profound that she couldn't stomach breakfast. Dr. Park entered the examination room with a cheerful demeanor. Quote 2. He inquired. Quote, Chica whispered. Dr. Park applied cold gel to her abdomen and moved the ultrasound wand with slow, deliberate care. The machine emitted a beep, and images appeared on the screen that Chica couldn't interpret. Dr. Park studied them for what seemed like an eternity before smiling. "Congratulations," he said softly. "It's a boy." Chica erupted into tears. Dr. Park promptly contacted Jin-woo. Thousands of miles away in Virginia, Jin-woo received the news while lying in his hospital bed, barely conscious. Marcus held the phone to his ear. "It's a boy, Jin-woo," Dr. Park's voice transmitted. "You're going to have a son." Jin-woo closed his eyes, tears tracing paths down his gaunt cheeks. "Thank you, God," he murmured. "Thank you." However, on that same day, Mi received confirmation that Kwan had located Chica. Kwan sent her a text message. "Target acquired. We will proceed tonight." Mi forwarded the message to her mother and sisters. They all celebrated over dinner at a high-end restaurant in Georgetown. "By tomorrow, the issue will be resolved," Seoin declared, raising her wine glass. They toasted to murder as if it were a mere business transaction. But on a Tuesday morning, during Chica's routine examination, Dr. Park rushed into her room, his face ashen. "We need to move you immediately." "What? Why?" "Why? Someone is coming. Someone dangerous. We have about an hour." Before Chica could react, the power failed. The lights flickered and died. Emergency generators activated, casting the surroundings in a red glow. Alarms blared. "Stay close to me," Dr. Park instructed, pulling her into the hallway. They hurried through corridors, past bewildered nurses, and down stairwells. Dr. Park pushed open a service exit that led to an underground parking garage. A black car awaited them. Kwan Yung stood beside it, a gun in his hand. "Get in," he commanded in English. "Now." Chica hesitated. "He's here to help," Dr. Park interjected swiftly. "Trust me." They entered the car. Kwan accelerated as three men emerged from the service exit behind them. Gunshots echoed through the garage. Bullets struck the car's reinforced body. Chica screamed and crouched down. Kwan drove with a frenzied intensity, maneuvering between parked cars, crashing through the exit barrier, sending sparks flying. They burst onto the streets of Seoul at dawn. 2 motorcycles appeared in their wake. The men MG had hired as backup were relentless. "Hold on," Juan said calmly in English. He executed a sharp turn into an alley barely wide enough for the vehicle. The motorcycles remained close, their engines roaring. They emerged onto a main road filled with early morning traffic. Kwan weaved through the cars like a Formula One racer. One motorcycle pulled alongside them. The rider raised a firearm, but Kwan swerved violently, colliding the car with the motorcycle. It crashed into a parked delivery truck in a spectacle of sparks and mangled metal. The second rider persisted, pulling up on the opposite side. Kwan reached beneath his seat, retrieved a Glock 19, and without looking, extended his arm out the window, firing 3 shots. The motorcycle rider jerked, the bike wobbled, and it crashed into a barrier, flipping over and sending the rider skidding across the pavement. Chica sat in the back seat, hands clapped over her mouth, hyperventilating, tears streaming down her face. "It's over," Kwan stated, decelerating. "You're safe now." He drove them to a secure location in Gangnam, a luxurious apartment building where Kwan maintained a temporary residence. For the subsequent 6 months, Chica resided there under armed guard. Kwan's men monitored the building around the clock. She was unable to leave or go anywhere. She was a prisoner, a safeguarded prisoner, but a prisoner nonetheless. Meanwhile, back in Virginia, Jin-woo was drawing his last breaths. Seo-yeon stood at Jin-woo's bedside in the M-Land mansion, observing the heart monitor's slowing beeps. She shed no tears, nor did she hold his hand. She simply waited, occasionally glancing at her watch as if she had a more pressing engagement. Nissan and MG stood behind her, exhibiting similar indifference. They were already texting lawyers regarding access to estate funds. Juan wasn't even present. She was at a spa in Manhattan, indulging in a facial. Marcus stood in a corner, observing them with disdain. He had been loyal to Jin-woo for 15 years, and witnessing these vultures circling made his blood boil. Jin-woo's eyes flickered open one last time. He looked at Marcus. "Protect my son," he whispered. "With my life," Marcus pledged. Jin-woo offered a faint smile, then his eyes closed. The heart monitor flatlined. "He's gone," the doctor announced quietly. Seo-yeon nodded. "Call the lawyer. I want the will read tomorrow." She departed without a backward glance. But here's what none of them knew. Jin-woo had recorded a video confession before he became too weak. Everything. Every illicit transaction, every bribe, every murder his family had concealed. Names, dates, bank accounts, wire transfers, bodies buried in construction sites across 3 states. He left 3 copies. one with his lawyer, one with Marcus, and one with Quan in Seoul, with explicit instructions. Last, quote, 2. The will reading devolved into chaos. Seo Yan sat in the lawyer's office, clad in her finest black dress, already mentally allocating her millions. Her daughters sat beside her, equally confident. Jin Woo's lawyer, a man named Robert Chen, who had worked with Jin Woo for 25 years, opened the envelope. Quote 3. He began. Quote, Fester. Seo Yan's smile faltered. What? That's it? Allow me to continue, Robert stated. To my daughters MG and Juan, I leave $5 million each to be dispersed over 10 years. What? MG leaped to her feet. That's impossible. His estate is worth $800 million. The remaining 80% of Mr. Park's estate, quote, 1, totaling approximately $640 million in assets, properties, and business holdings, will be placed in an irrevocable trust for his son, Park Jin-woo Jr. The child will gain access to the trust at age 18. Until then, the trust will be managed by Marcus Johnson and myself as co-executors. Quote 2. His son, quote, 3. He doesn't have a son. He does, Robert confirmed, producing a birth certificate. Born 3 days ago in Seoul, South Korea. Mother, Chika Williams. Father, Park Jin-woo. Paternity confirmed via DNA tests conducted during Mrs. Williams's pregnancy. Seo Yan's face turned ashen with rage. This is fraud. That woman seduced my dying husband. This will can be contested. You're welcome to try, Robert replied placidly. But I should inform you that Mr. Park also left this. He placed a USB drive on the table. This drive contains video and audio evidence of various criminal activities involving members of this family. Wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy to commit murder. If any harm comes to Chika Williams or her son, if this will is contested, or if any legal action is taken against the child's inheritance, this evidence will be delivered to the FBI, IRS, and appropriate state authorities. The room fell silent. You're bluffing, MG whispered. Robert pressed play on a laptop. Jin Woo's face appeared on screen, weak, dying, but his voice was clear. Quote 1. Seo Yan's face turned ashen. Mi-san, you've been embezzling from Park Industries since 2021. I have the offshore account numbers, every transaction. Mi-san gripped the edge of the table. MJE, you and that scammer boyfriend helped launder $12 million through our hotels. I have witnesses, recordings, everything. Mi looked as though she might vomit. And Juan, you're just stupid, but stupidity doesn't protect you from conspiracy charges. The video concluded. Robert closed the laptop. So, do we have an understanding? No one spoke. Seo Yan and her daughters left the office in stunned silence. Within weeks they attempted anyway, hiring lawyers, filing motions, trying to prove Chika had manipulated Jin Woo. Marcus released the video. Federal investigators appeared at their doors within days. Bank accounts were frozen. Properties were seized. Charges were filed. Seo Yan was arrested on 17 counts of wire fraud and money laundering. Mi-san lost her law license and received a 5-year federal prison sentence. Mi and David both received 10 years for conspiracy and fraud. Juan accepted a plea deal and received 3 years of probation. The Park family empire collapsed overnight, except for the part that mattered. 9 months after Jin Woo's death, Chika gave birth in a private hospital in Seoul. The baby emerged crying, healthy, strong. It's a boy, Dr. Park stated, smiling. Chika held her son in her arms and wept. She named him Jin, after his father. 3 weeks later, Chika returned to America. Marcus met her at the airport with a security detail. Welcome home, he said, smiling at the baby. Your son is now the wealthiest infant in America. Seo Yan endeavored to contest the will. She hired the nation's finest attorneys, but Jin Woo's trust was ironclad. 80% of his $800 million empire went to Jin. The boy would control everything upon reaching the age of 18. Seo received a monthly stipend sufficient for a comfortable existence, though by no means matching her expectations. Her daughters received even more meager amounts. When they attempted to intimidate Chika, Marcus disseminated the video. Within weeks, federal agents were investigating them. Financial assets were frozen and possessions were confiscated. Seo Yan and her offspring were apprehended on accusations of conspiracy, financial misconduct, and premeditated homicide. They remain incarcerated. Presently, Chica resides in a lavish residence in McLean, Virginia, the very estate where she initially encountered Jinwoo. Her mother underwent a successful kidney transplant. She is now in good health, content, and preparing Sunday meals. Young Jin, now 2 years old, is joyful and well. Chica completed her nursing education. On weekends, she dedicates her time to a free clinic in Baltimore, assisting individuals who evoke memories of her former self. She displays a photograph of Jinwoo on her mantelpiece, not out of affection, but because he provided her with an opportunity others withheld. So, what is the core takeaway? Individuals in dire straits resort to perilous decisions, yet these choices can occasionally precipitate fortunate outcomes. Was it morally justifiable or not? That determination is yours to make.